How are you? Oh, you've muted out. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Heidi, you're very dark.
I am outside, so the light is behind me.
Yeah, that's good now.
I go to the wall. I sit in my outside salon.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I want to see it one day.
You will come. I see. It seems to have. I seem to have heard that.
Yes.
You are still so radiant. That's so good to see you this way.
Hi, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Tammy, I have to go 6:45, so if we haven't finished, then I just go. Okay.
And is it 5 or 6 right now?
But it's 5 now.
5 here.
Yeah. I think it's an enlivening edge day, so I think we have perhaps a movement of people who will be migrating around then.
I want to say that tomorrow I'm visiting my youngest daughter in Hamburg, which is about 1.5 hours from here. And my husband's birthday tomorrow, so I will not be here till Sunday, inclusive.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a question about that. Fridays is late for us, no? When is it? I never have understood that.
Yeah, well, we were trying to kind of hit a time that also worked for early risers in Australia and New Zealand. But I've shifted it to, I think it's 8 p.m. CET.
Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm.
I think so. 11 a.m., 11 plus 9.
I always have trouble to find the access. So it would be nice if everyone, when there is the show short before, puts it in the group, because I'm getting confused where to find the address.
Yeah, it's on the pinned post on the Facebook page.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
But I think I probably have to change the one on the side.
And I won't be there even Saturday and Sunday, so probably. Oh,
Hello, Harry.
Oh.
Guten Appetit.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we have speaker view now. I see Gertraud and me and nobody else.
Oh, you can probably switch.
I didn't do anything. It just happened. Oh, okay. I'm back. It's okay.
In the upper right corner, there is...
I know that, but I didn't do anything. It switched over, and I thought it was Harry who wanted to be seen completely.
It's Harry's fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now look at my new self-portrait there.
Yeah.
How's it going, Josh?
Just waking up. Just trying to headphones.
Yeah, I'm with that.
How you doing?
Well, I'm personally doing amazing. Lucy has hired me to work with her organization, and we've started the project. So I'm,
Awesome.
yeah, making inspirational videos with athletes for the Strong Girls program. So very exciting.
Awesome. Did you and Doug get to talk yesterday, or did that ever happen?
Yeah, we did.
Cool.
Yeah. It had been a while since we had a check-in. Lots to report.
Even my dog?
Say again, Harry?
Do you have a lot to report too, Doug?
Never.
No, that's
Hi, Anna. Hi, Anna.
No, Anna.
Everyone.
I know none of us have checked in yet or anything really, but I was wanting to just float here to do our Friday experiments about the deepening relationships between people and how that, because, you know, last Friday with Harry and I sharing afterwards, I was like, you know, there's a lot of really beautiful relationships that we're really helping each other in deep, deep ways. And I wondered about having tomorrow's experiment exploring that.
Whatever you do is fine with me. Sorry, but I can't come.
Yeah.
Is that at the early time?
It's at the
Yeah.
early, yeah, it's at 8 p. Is that 8 or 7 your time?
7 my time.
7,
probably.
yeah.
8 European time.
Yeah.
And we, I mean, Heidi, Lucy, and I are 1 hour apart.
So did that tomorrow's time change, or is it the same as it's been?
No, I thought I would change it. And so I changed it on the pinned post. I probably have to change it in other places. I just thought it is really late for a lot of the people. So I thought I'd try a different time.
What's the question mark behind you, Harry?
I wonder as well, Anna.
Didn't you say it was your self-portrait?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds nice.
Checking in. I had a pretty tough week. We were working on our website, the German part. And I had a funny, I don't know what to say about that. I felt as if I had lead in my veins. It was, I was so tired, so like torn, pulled to the ground. I thought, what is it? I don't know. I can't come out of the bed and nothing. So, and yesterday I found a tick on my thigh. And I had borreliosis already years ago, and it felt very similar. And so I just did that, like I put the thieves, that's one of the essential oils. My husband removed it, and today it's better. So it was like, oh my God. It was so hard to think and to do something and to get up and everything. It was like for 2 or 3 days, it was awful. But it was pretty big, this thing. And I hope I got all that the essential oil has dealt with everything. So I'm really feeling on recovering mode.
Is that a symptom of Lyme's disease? What you were experiencing?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was pretty shocked yesterday because I always check when I come back from the that I didn't see that and didn't remove it in time. Yeah, so I'm back to normal, or at least on the way.
I was just reading this morning that there's an epidemic of Lyme disease at the moment.
Could be, yes. Yes.
Are there any other treatments that you could do to, like something medical?
The problem with homeopathy is that they need symptoms, and if it goes secret, then you don't have anything. So I had to take antibiotics. At that time, I really had some paralysis things at that time. So I said, it feels as if that was, and so I really checked and saw that tick. So I think it's okay because I trust that it really takes the viruses, but we'll see.
What was the oil?
If thieves, that's from, this is a pure oil by Young Living, and it's 100%. I took it internally, and I took it on the spot where it was.
How do you write it?
Pardon?
How do you write the name of the oil?
Thieves, those who steal things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a legend that when the pest was in Europe, that they put them rosemary and whatever on themselves in order to steal stuff from the dying and dead people without getting sick. So, and then they were caught, and under torture they told the recipe. That's the legend. Well, so that's my check-in. So I'm better, a lot better, but it really it's when you already had that, and now that doesn't feel well. Didn't feel good when I had that at the time when I didn't know, and I became worse and worse and worse, and I didn't know what happened until I knew. So I hope I just caught it in the action. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to visiting my daughter. And really spend time with my husband, because we have busy schedules, and just being in the same seat for hours is a treat. And the translation is proceeding, so it's great. I really love it. And I just sold another 2 books on Monday, so it's like, yeah. And we got what do you call it, when people write about the book in Amazon,
Really?
and there was one writing quite a bit about it and said, if you only need 1 book to support your business in the way you collaboration and so, you have to to take this one. And then she quoted that it's like a rich chocolate cake. So I thought it was really nice. Yeah. So that's me.
Can you put the link to the book in from the Amazon?
But it's German.
I'm German.
You are German.
Half German, half Italian.
So you speak German. All right. Read and write.
No, but I have Google.
Okay.
I have
Good.
Google Translate. I can put the thing over it and it'll read it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Josh, I didn't include you because you weren't there. If you want to, I have set up a Google document for the book in English. So I translated it into English, and so chapter by chapter. And if you want to give me your address, then with which you are in Google, then I will add you, and you can see it in English.
Gertraud, I've been backlogged, but I did get that link, finally did log in, to the Google Drive, and I will be digging into it. So just wanted to let you know.
I have certainly found some juicy bits in it that I felt were very helpful. Wow. But do we only have 1 chapter, Gertraud?
Chapter 6.
There are 6 chapters, but I started with the 6th because that's where all the practices are in. So all that was just mentioned in the book, we put them together in chapter 6. So I started with that to translate that. And now I go backwards and do 5 and the rest. There will be more coming, but at the moment it's chapter 6. And it's number 2 in Amazon on the.
That's awesome.
I go ahead. Is it okay? Lately, we were I think yesterday with Fleming Funch, we were talking about doing versus being, or was it here? I don't know. But it was here. Doc, you said it, no? The presentation we do normally by saying what we are doing and not so much what we are being. And it's also difficult to present oneself with a being. So I want to present myself now with being. I'm sitting with still 29 centigrades outside in my big courtyard, and the house is empty. There could be about 20 people, and I'm alone with a helper. And I try to get, you know, people here. But you know what? You know Simon Stella? He will come and see me next week. He is in Croatia now, and he will come not next week, the week afterwards. And that's nice. So I really hope that sooner or later you will come here and enjoy the paradise, because it's called Paradiso Integrale. So non-integral in the Italian sense, where it is bread with fiber, but in the sense of Ken Wilber. So yeah, being in the last, let's say, half year, I was mainly occupied with being in the first way and with doing a lot. And this has sort of found an end on last Sunday. Some of you have seen it. I have buried the cat of Mark, who died of heartbreak, on his feet, in the graveyard, on where the feet. He is about a meter deep, and the cat is only about this deep, you know. But I found it the right way to end this chapter for both of them. And so I hope now to get a little bit more into a more, how do you say, I am not inactive, but it is all like in a different space I was in that time. And I hope I will come back into a more distinct space where I have to get back to my living life as a single, but I want to do it in a different way, not as I did it before. So, and I will finally go 3 days out of my house and go with a friend on the seaside and walk or take my bike. And so it is badly needed after all this time here. So I still have some patients, some cat with problems and stuff, you know. When you don't have children, you have animals where you have to care for and give medicine and all sorts of things. Anyway, that's a state of being, a state of doing. I begin to gather now people for the first show series I want to do, which will be called Conscious Living, Conscious Dying. And I'm still looking for somebody. I mean, I have already 2 or 3 people who have survived a life-threatening illness and who would like to be on the panel. And maybe also somebody who has lost a partner long time ago and can now give a sort of experience report of how life goes on the long run, maybe find how they found another partner or how they found some other sense in life. So I'm looking also for a person for that. And I say it now because in case you know somebody, I would be happy to include them in the shows. And then I will go on alone. That was our common activity, and I think it was a speciality. People liked the interaction we had together behind the camera, but now I have to find my own sort of humor, which I probably have to develop stuff, but okay, we will see how it goes on. And Doug, in next spring, he will assist me in doing some of these shows, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. So far for me.
If you have a look on Google, and you might find a book I was reading called Grief and Moss. I think it was titled Dealing with Grief and Moss, just some simple title. and pointed out all the tricks of the trade. Dealing with it in the presencing, in the focusing.
Did you talk to me? I didn't understand a whole lot. So it was about a book. Did you recommend it to me?
I didn't hear the title.
Write it.
Could you say that again, Alex?
Information when you get dealing with grief and loss. It's a phrase that you search on Google to find a wonderful amount of information, incredible amount of information. I've been through the process of dealing with grief and loss, and I found the amount of information overwhelming, but it boiled down to simple things like focusing on what the issue is to deal with at the moment. But presencing means not looking at the past and not looking ahead or back, but focusing in the present of now and dealing with the issue that's currently coming up and not worrying about the consequences or the actions or the grief, forgetting about the grief, putting the grief aside for a moment in order to work out the next step forward. That sort of, it helps a lot of people deal with it. It's
Thank
not
you.
maybe a distraction.
I can understand it better as it was now. Thank you. Yeah, that's true. I felt in the last, let's say half year, that I was always in the present, just in the moment and the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. Having some looking in the future, how will it be, blah, blah, preparing, but mainly from one second to the next, what was on. And yeah, I think it's a good way, and I'm actually doing it. I'm not desperate. I'm not, completely overwhelmed. No, yeah. And part of it is talking about it and doing the shows, preparing the shows, and writing a book about Mark, not about, welcoming also who knew him to write a little bit of a testimonial. And this is my way of going through this strange part of life, really strange. But that's a lesson. Thank you. And Alex, if you talk always like that, I can understand you. That would be very nice if you could do that, because otherwise I just don't know what it is about. I'm sorry, I'm not so good in detecting dialects.
So Alex, the moral of the story is lean in.
Did somebody find my the post I put up on my Facebook page about the circles?
I didn't see it yet. No.
I saw a glimpse of it when somebody did a share screen.
Oh, that was me by mistake. I was trying to share with Gertraud. I pressed the wrong button on my iPad. I'm sorry. I'm going to look at it.
It's a big reinventing organisation map, actually. And it's a very complex. It's too complex for my liking, but it's still there. It's comprehensive.
It's on your page, Alex, you said?
Yeah, Facebook, Alex Street Facebook page.
I'll check it out. Thank you.
Been up for about 15 hours, I think. So it's a recent post.
I'll check in. I'm glad to be fully back. I feel like I'm finally fully back. And I'm really excited. Lucy and I have started working on the Strong Girls project, and I'm really excited to be able to collaborate and get paid. And I'm just so grateful, Lucy, for for that this is happening. And so, yeah, I'm a little bit in shock. Like, I'm doing work I love, working with someone I love, and getting paid. How, like, there's a part of me that's like, is this actually reality? Wow. So, yeah, that's the biggest, most exciting news. And I'm arriving back here, and yeah, I've been meditating regularly. Harry and I have a connected practice, and then I'm also doing my own meditations, and that I think is really helping. Like taking that quiet time and doing the love bomb. So it's basically myself feeling love for myself. And I had an insight around that last night, that there's no, it's a perfect way to direct the energy to where it needs to be, because only I know where my whatever and my energy is. And so I'm excited to have deepened back into that practice, because it's super helpful. And yeah, so that's my simple little, very exciting check-in.
Tammy, I just want to acknowledge there's a complete shift in you, your energy, your presence that is qualitatively hugely different. And there's almost a palpable sense of you being 100% here, like you, like authentic, real you, present and accounted for on a level that is really different and terrific. And I just want to acknowledge that out loud, because people don't tell us when we do stuff like that. So.
Thank you, Doug.
Maybe I'll check in briefly. I don't have that much to say, but today the electricity was off for many hours, so that was interesting. Made me remember sort of how dependent I am on that without usually thinking about it, and suddenly all the daily routines are changed for quite a few hours. Usually it just goes over very quickly, but today it was several hours. So that was an interesting experience. And been kind of hectic the last few days with sort of with this Gurdjieff group with meditation work, and we do different things. So there's different kinds of projects and translation of things, but so my mind is kind of different places. I noticed that there's these moments when there's many things that I'm interested in, and my mind kind of goes between them, and then sometimes I just get a little overwhelmed and just feel like relaxing a little bit, just taking a break from everything. So I think I'm a little bit there today. But, I also want to mention one little thing. It's been on my mind for a while. Was what Harry mentioned in one of the talks about this experience of the whole space around being alive, and that's kind of been with me a little bit. Just try to felt into that, kind of because, yeah, that really shifts kind of everything. This experience of being inside of something that's alive, and so just thought I'm mentioning that because just that little thing you mentioned has kind of been with me. So thank you for that.
Okay, I'm so happy you mentioned this, Glenn, because that's basically the thing that is kind of also changed my experiencing the way I am. We're talking about being differently. This is being differently. If you find yourself basically alone, thrown into the world and having to find out for yourself what life is about, and looking for the manual and all that and not finding anything, or kind of inversing it just the way that occurred to me thanks to this trip I had. Oh, it's the other way around, Harry. It's always been the other way around, and now you know. It's not that you're the only one alive in this dead universe. No, the universe is one big alive thing, and you're just part of it, and it birthed you, and not the other way around. So you can just and that's what, since then I meditate, and what it's my version of what Tammy calls his love bomb. Each time I inhale life itself, the very essence of life, what the Indians call prana. It fills me up and brings me alive. So that feeling is a totally different way of being, because I can rest into the being itself, the isness of life. And that way I kind of totally feel different and safer, and I don't need to change anything. I can just join the party the way it's happening. So that's a totally different experience. And it's just this little switch. Oh, it's the other way around in the head. So it's awesome. And I'm happy it helps you too. Thanks. And while I'm talking, I might as well check in. I just ran into the door. I was out for a workshop for 2 days for a big company. That went well, and also there I dared to be more Harry than ever before. So that seems to be appreciated, not only by me. And this morning I had with my best friend and client a session with him about the app he is making, about how to do things better. This is a great concept, and I hope I can help him to make it good enough to introduce it to my friends. So I ran into the door. I just had dinner, as some of you might have noticed, and here I am. Another thing is that my jet lag has finally waned. It really took a whole week, and when you're at work and you think you will be bright and smart, and instead that you fall asleep, is a kind of disrupting as well. And with that, I'm somewhat complete for the moment. Thank you. Over. Okay, since I silent one more, I also have the ambition to lose my very heavy Dutch accent at some point.
If you watch a lot of Australian movies, Harry, that'll help you. Try and talk the dialogue along with on the Mad Max movies.
My sister's living in Denmark, and she's talking German with a Danish accent. That's sweet too.
I'm feeling quite quiet, and I think it may be because my daughter has just gone to Bristol for 2.5 weeks with the kids. She is going to, the woman who started this organization that she is part of, Balanced View, this path that she is following, called Candice. She's an American and she's coming to Bristol. So there's a big sort of community there. And I think I'm just really going to miss her. I think I haven't realized how much I turn to her and look to her for well, just to help clarify things when I need to talk something over. We phone each other practically every day. So she can still do FaceTime even in Bristol, and I'm hoping that we will connect. But and Lucy also is going to be going away, because Lucy in a way is sort of the next person that I would turn to after my daughter. So yeah. And yesterday I went to visit a couple of friends of mine, two women who lived together, and one of the women had broken her leg very badly and had this cast, and it's been quite a few weeks. She wasn't able to move, very painful. And she's a very active woman. And they had plans to go to France. They're also Buddhist, and the other woman was going to get ordained as a priest, and all of that just collapsed because she fell off a ladder and broke her leg. And it was such a shock. And they were, they've become aware much more of eating healthily. They gave me some of these crystals that you make, water kefir, I think it is. You make a certain drink with them, and it's supposed to be really healthy. And there was just a lovely atmosphere there of caring and going deeper, partly because of this Mary having broken her leg and needing to reassess, in a way, her life. And maybe that's also happening for me a bit, because I'm still during this month of inactivity after my hip op. Really still just sitting around, wondering very much what life is about and what consciousness is about, particularly. So a lot of contemplation. That's it for me.
I was just going to check in and say that's awesome, Anna, that you're doing the kefir water. I just got turned on to that last year, and those little crystal-y things are living bacteria. So they're really cool. They just keep giving and giving and giving. and good probiotic drink to have, especially in the summertime. It's fun to mix it with some juice, just a little dab of juice and some water. Good probiotics. And yeah, I also have been thinking a lot about the work that I've been doing with artificial intelligence has led me to think more about consciousness and the idea that we're living in a simulation. And what a terrible idea that is. I've been researching it over and over. It's just so depressing. So I like to think that it's not a simulation as much as a realization. I hope we're living in a realization. So that's what I've been contemplating, trying to get past the computer aspect of life and mathematical codes of sacred geometry and more into a realization of what am I here to realize, not simulate. That's what I've been thinking about. That's my check-in.
Awesome.
This simulation thing, I haven't really understood it, but is it kind of a version of that this reality is part of many other layers of reality where these layers influence us? Seems that it's expressed maybe in a kind of computerish language, but that it is an ancient idea that this is one level that relates to other levels. I don't know what you're thinking about that.
Would you like me to expand on it, Glenn?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay. So I think the concept is there's an old video game that came out in the 1970s where a little paddle goes up and down and another paddle goes up and down and a little dot pops back and forth, just a little pixel. And as we evolved with computer code, the graphics get more and more and more to the point where here you're seeing my face, you can see my beard. We're transmitting this video in real time through a computer digitally, seeing each other's faces, hearing our voices, and it's getting more and more complex. And if you take that to the video games that people are playing now, they're more realistic. So if you go 100, 200 years into the future, would it be the processor of the brain simulating this reality is actually computer code? And I think it's our best way to describe what we don't understand. And I think we're just using our analogy of the computer to understand it, where it's way, way further than we could even imagine. Just and the thing that's been really blowing my mind is the idea that if you take your thumb and you put it up to the sky, so you stretch your arm out and you look at your thumbnail and you take a picture of that sky 450 times at night, and you get that resolution as high as you can. You keep taking the same picture 450 times, and you look at that, there's more galaxies in that thumbnail than there are stars in our galaxy, which leads me to believe that the universe is made of things that we could never even comprehend. So there is something outside of us, an energy that is beyond our brain's ability to understand because it's infinite. So I think infinity, like if you look at if we took a snapshot of the picture of us all here on the screen, there's millions and millions of little colors and little dots that are picking up, but millions is very different than infinity. If I don't know if that helps to explain.
Yeah, that's on my mind often too. Infinity and what it means.
I think it means if you accumulate a lot of wealth while you're alive, when you die, you don't take it with you. You leave it here. What you do while you're alive for others stays here after you're dead. It lives on. The work you do for others unselfishly, and that when you die, that's what you leave behind. That's a legacy, I guess. What you do for others, what you do for yourself disappears as soon as you die.
I think trying to understand infinity is difficult because we think of understanding as explaining something or being in form of words. And I feel that the only way to understand infinity is to experience it. And you don't experience it in words. It's an experiential thing. And when you experience it, you don't think that it needs explaining because it's a live experience. So, and this is all to do really with words being so much priority for our culture and feelings somehow being so suppressed and not given any status, really having to fight for their right to be there. And so things like
Excuse me, I thought you had finished.
No, carry on, Heidi. What were you going to say?
For me, it's exactly the opposite. Because when I studied mathematics, infinity was the normal thing. And you could talk about it and you could see it and everything. And feeling into infinity, when I try to imagine it felt, I get crazy. So, so it's exactly the opposite. For me, the words are easy, but the feelings are sort of, it's too much. Infinity is too much for me to feel.
Yeah.
Try and wrap your head around this then. When you're traveling faster and faster and faster, time slows down. And when you're traveling almost at the speed of light, time is almost frozen at a standstill. You're not moving. And so you can never go into a black hole because you can never, the closer you get to the black hole, the faster you're traveling. And when you reach the black hole, you're traveling at the speed of light. So you virtually stop traveling. You're not moving when you reach a black hole. You see what I mean? The universe is so big, it's time and space together, not time and space separate. That's the discovery Einstein made. Relativity. Wrap your head around that.
Can I expand on that, Alex?
Yes.
That was a thought that Stephen Hawking had, and in doing so, everything collapses. They were saying that the information itself of the universe, when you get close to the black hole, it all collapses. So there is no more information. So I think that's what's been, I've been trying to wrap my head around that, because if there is no information, I actually did a meditation a few years back, I think it was 5 years ago actually, of just looking at the trees behind me and just looking and imagining I don't know what they are. I have no idea what they are. I don't know what this is. I don't know what these lines are. I don't even
Josh.
look around with the ball. I don't know what it is. Eventually it will just disappear and fade, just like going into the black hole where all the information is gone. And then you're in that calm state. And it was the most lovely state. I have to say, it was the only thing that happened was this closed and this opened up. And it was a really interesting meditation. And I felt more love than I had ever felt ever. And almost to the point where I had to share it. I just had to. It was so overwhelming.
Not
For me,
everyone's,
the
sorry,
sorry.
not everyone's checked in, but I love how the conversation's emerging.
I would like to check in. What a day, or a couple of days. The first thing is just like, I am so grateful for all of you and love you all so much. And this experience is, I don't know, just dropping in a bit late it gives a very different feeling. Yeah, I had a very powerful conversation with Tammy and Anna and Gertraud. When was it? We talked on Monday. I realised, or a whole load of shame came up for me, and I realised some really important things around, oh God, just to give a summary, how I can abandon myself. And I think that's what's crystallised, actually. The conversation covered a few different things, but that I'm going through life not with myself. And I really understand it now. I've, like today, driving to pick something up, I just realised, God, I've just totally got it. Something which I didn't understand for 38 years, I really get it. And I get what the other version is. What does it feel like, and what does it mean to be with myself? Because that's the only person I'm here to be with. Yeah, and it's just a fucking awesome feeling. It's really like discovering some really, like, shit. I figured, like, all of these things have just fallen into place with that. There was also some understanding of that there's like two parts to life going through my days. One is the process of the things that I'm doing and my plans, and the other, and this is why hearing what all of you have said is so great, is the other is just being alive, that actually experiencing what it is to be alive, breathing, feeling, being conscious, which is also really cool. And then today I had the inspection of my cabin, which is like a bit of a crucial thing if they find something bad. And they didn't find anything bad, nothing at all, which was a relief. But I'm also feeling a bit of panic that I actually don't want to sell my cabin now. I've been looking at all these beautiful trees and these amazing mountains, and it's something about realizing something about these other realizations that I've had have made me see precisely why this place is so special and why it has been special to me. So I'm a bit, don't really know what to do with that feeling. Yeah, a little bit like, shit, can I find a way to get out of this contract? Which I don't know. I think this is part of the process. I think it's still, it's time for me to move on to something new. No, I'm really loving being alive right now, which is really cool to, after you know, in younger years, thinking of how different the contrast is amazing. You don't need anything, just to understand what it is to be alive and to find yourself, and is really amazing. And then of course there's this great conversation with Anna, Gertraud and Tammy, and then working with Tammy, getting that started is really exciting. And I had one of my projects got another year of funding, so that was a big relief. I got that news yesterday. Yeah. I'm very grateful for all of you and all of this, all that we share, and yeah. And now I'm going to stop talking. Oh, and one more thing. Sorry, one more thing. And what you said, Anna, really touched me very much. Not having a mum, or well, she exists, but she's not in my life. And to know that I'm that important to somebody is really special to hear. So I'm still here. I'm just going to be sitting in a kayak on the water for a while, but I'll be around.
Any update on the duck?
Yeah, the duck is, if you ever get a chance to see a duck grow up, I would thoroughly recommend it. It's really cool how, so she has these tiny, you know, like a raw chicken wing. It's this little meaty stump. She kind of had that with fluff on it in the beginning. And this whole wing has developed with feathers growing out, like from the top. And then there's this whole new layer growing from underneath. So I've kind of been able to watch how does a bird's wing develop, and they're amazing. But she's going to follow me down to the south of Stockholm, then over, well, Sunday or Monday, and then I'm going to find somewhere nice to release her. So we've been having a bit of a chat. I've been prepared. I've been telling her what she has to watch out for in like duck world. I don't know if that makes any difference. Some wisdom for ducks. I'll be sad to let her go, but it will feel good, I think. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Is she here now in your cabin that we can see her?
She's outside. I'll go and get her.
Do we know she's a she?
Oh, she's a bit excited.
Big.
Is it Daffy or Donald?
Not sure. She's a girl, and she's probably going to poo on the table if I leave her there too long. Yeah, I don't know if she'll want to take her. She doesn't want to take her wings out, but yeah, she's big. She was like this tiny little fluff ball, and now she's this proper duck.
Yeah, you could hold her in one hand at the beginning.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she's in the middle of my hand. Yeah, she's got this funky hairdo right now with all the. Oh, there's some feathers are out, but not all of them. I'll go and put her back.
Great. So bye-bye, Ducky.
Yeah, you won't see her again. This is it.
Yeah.
Say bye. Say bye.
Bon voyage.
It's really sweet to see the duck or see the animals growing. It's just amazing. It ties back to this life, experiencing life, you know. We cannot experience our life anymore when we were small and grew up because sort of gone the possibility. But observing children or animals, you can. And that's always absolutely amazing.
I was going to say, Lucy, I had a pet squirrel that was a little baby when it came to me. My dog caught it in its mouth, and then watching it grow up and then eventually leaving the nest, we put a little ramp from its cage to go outside, and one day it just never came back. So it's a beautiful thing, but it's sad.
That they just go and they don't come back. It's nice.
Yeah.
Don't squirrels bite though?
Yeah, it bit my dad. But it was cute for a while.
Doug, did you check in?
No, but I can. So today, I just want to extend an invitation. Today, I've been sort of participating and part of a group associated with EE, the Enlivening Edge crew, that do their video calls. And so it's first Thursdays and third Thursdays. And so I and Chun Feng, who goes by Breeze, volunteered to come up with the questions for the session. So I just want to, I'm going to post a link in the chat. And you're all invited.
When is it, Doug?
It's right after this. It runs from 1 to 2:30. So I fully understand if that's too late or, too unplanned, but you're all welcome. And I guess I'd like to share the experience of coming up with the two questions with Breeze. We, other than being newbies to the sort of core group of that of those sessions of the team that puts those sessions together, we were both newbies in that in terms of sort of the inner organizing meeting, and I was very aware of how I did me in collaborating with her on this. And neither of us really had a clue how to even come at, how do we develop two questions, which seems like a really simple ask and simple task, but, nothing simple. And so I've actually been thinking about, that idea, like if I were framing the questions, what would they be, for a while. I've been participating in that group in the sessions for a while. So the first thing I had to do was put all that stuff aside, because you can't be emergent and open if you got it all figured out on arrival. So I did that, and we connected, and I said, well, how about I come up with two pairs of questions, you come up with two pairs of questions, and then we sort of circle up and explore them and figure out, what the final contenders are. And so she liked that, and we did that. We exchanged the pairs of questions by email. And so we opened a Zoom and went through a process of where she read her questions out loud, and then we sort of took a dive into them. And what were they for her? What were they referencing for her? And then I read my two questions, and we took a dive into what did they mean for me. And we realized we were both, it was sort of like this. There were it's sort of like, polarized sunglasses, right? They were slightly different in twist or orientation, but they were identical in core. There's no way we would have discovered that or learned that than going through a process of creating the space and the time to dive in the way we did. So the curiosity and open emergent thing is becoming just more, it's just screaming louder and louder is the only place to come from. As a rule, start there and then figure it out. And where we ended up was the first question came from one of my pairs, and the second question came from one of her pairs as a blended thing. And then we edited them to, sort of harmonize them in terms of what person and how they were expressed. And I think for me, it was a first. Experiencing collaboration in that way, where it was completely emergent and it was completely open and completely out of, generative curiosity. And it was just really cool. And validating and affirming of all sorts of things that I carry around in my head about, how we could do us. So that's my share. That's my check-in. And you can experience the fruits of our labors if you stick your head in.
Awesome, Doc. Awesome. I love it. Honestly, this is indeed what we are kind of trying to do as differently than you did it.
I was going to ask you, Doug, if I met with Tammy the other day, and inside of the website that we're building, there's a forum which allows you to put topics. And I didn't want to go ahead and just put up topics to be the leader of the conversation. So I wanted to offer to the whole group if there are any topics, or I don't know if it's questions I think are different than topics, but a topic and then a question. If anyone wants to put it in chat, I made Glenn and Lucy, that's called the Keymaster, to put those topics on there. And anyone else that wants to be a Keymaster, just private message me and I'll put you on there. But I would love to have longer threaded discussions that go on in asynchronous time so that we can chat and then also analyze that later for projects and things. So I just want to open that up to the group. If there are any topics that want to be discussed outside, let's start discussing them, because I think that's what we're doing here. And Tammy and I were talking about how do we get the transcript from this conversation, then organize it. That it's just really difficult. But if anyone has any topics that they want to discuss for global collaboration, that would be great if anyone can put it in the chat, and I'll go ahead and transfer it up there, and eventually it'll start to move. But it all starts with the topics.
I think I have a topic. I've been having conversations with a few different people recently, and this thing of, what's the best way of saying it, like burnout, or it keeps coming up, or with these, which is weird why in lots of different conversations it kept coming. And then I thought, is that something that we actually really talk enough about? Not necessarily that we should, but how do we, what tools are useful for doing the kind of work that we're trying to do, and how do we take care of ourselves in the process? And I just was going to personally start asking people how they manage that side of things. Like one person, for example, said, I see so much, and it's like other people don't see it, so I can't get it to happen fast enough. And I thought, well, that feels similar for me, and I'm guessing that might feel similar for others. So maybe we could learn from sharing around that. So that's one topic I'd be keen to start. Like self-care for global collaborators.
That's a great topic, I think. And we haven't really talked that much about it, I think. So that's a good topic.
So I wanted to open to this group in the spirit of what Doug just talked about for tomorrow's session. Last week after the session closed, I thought it would be powerful for us to talk about our relationships between the whole group. But there's also a few of us that are not going to be here. So I guess what I want to do is perhaps by the end of the call, we could decide what tomorrow's focus might be, and burnout might be that. But I'd like to just put it out to the group so that it's ours, not mine.
Is tomorrow's time has changed, hasn't it? So it's
It is 8 p.m. your time.
Okay, fantastic.
Also, I don't think Alex has had a chance to check in, and I'd really love to hear how his week went this week with the legal pieces he was wrestling with. Alex, do you want to check in?
Can you hear me? Yeah, I was going to the local court to get an extension for a bicycle helmet law. In Australia, you have to wear bicycle helmets. They've got an all-age compulsory bicycle helmet law. And because I've had skin cancer on my face, I said, no, the helmets are not recommended for use outdoors. Hats recommended for use outdoors have a big wide sunshade, because Australia's got the highest rate of skin cancer in the world. But the government that brought in the all-age bicycle helmet law are the same people who own the factory that makes the helmets. And I said, well, helmet, you're disregarding the health and safety of all these children, because the helmet law has not resulted in any significant reduction in harm. In fact, the helmet law resulted in a massive drop in the participation rate, which has led to a blowout in our obesity, teenage obesity in Australia. It's maxed out. And that results in enormous waste of resources and healthcare funding, because obesity leads to all sorts of other conditions, heart disease and diabetes. Anyway, the police still say you have to wear a helmet. And I said, well, you can't force children to wear them. It's unlawful to expose a child to an increased risk of harm. And the police said, I'm sorry, that's the law. We don't make the law. And I said, oh, I know, the government, the people who make the factory, the people who make the helmets are making the law. And they didn't like that, so they arrested me. And I got out of jail by banging my head on the window, and they took me to hospital. And I spoke to the nurses there, and I said, look, they can't force children to wear these helmets. They can recommend them. But if you force everyone to wear helmets, you cause a massive blowout in the healthcare budget. You're not really saving any lives. And it's the same number of pedestrians are killed every year on the roads here as cyclists. And you're not going to make pedestrians wear helmets. So it's not about saving lives. It's about selling helmets. So they gave me a court date on the 19th of September because I pleaded not guilty. I'm not guilty. My doctor told me to wear the proper hat outdoors, and I will. I'll listen to my doctor before I listen to a politician who has family trust accounts and investments in the manufacturing industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the mining industry, the mainstream media. You see what's happening? The corporation is running our lives, not the people. The people don't get a shit show in a vote unless everyone votes. If everyone votes, we get the government we deserve. If only the rich vote, we get the government that neglects the poor. So that's what's happening. We're working on it slowly, trying to build these local networks that grow exponentially, and that's pretty easy because when I discovered that the MLM marketers were developing huge businesses using the simple process of training 2 members of your own team to do the same thing. It's very simple. But if you charge a fee for that, of course it's a Ponzi scheme. But if you don't charge a fee, it'll grow, provided your training includes the essence of the idea that the reason we're doing this is not to make a profit. It's to help reduce the harmful CO2 emissions in the environment, and teenage suicide, and government corruption, racism, all those nasty things that we don't like. So that's about me for a check-in, I guess. Thank you, Tammy.
I just need to understand,
Alex.
what kind of helmets are you talking about? What for?
The plastic safety helmets.
For
They're
cycling?
For what?
For riding a bicycle.
Okay.
You don't see them. You don't see them very often in overseas in Europe, Amsterdam, but you see a lot of them in Australia. Not many cyclists, but look, when you do see a cyclist, they've generally got a helmet on. They don't want to get fined.
Can we help you, Alex, in any way? What's this process going to be that you're starting? Or it would be fantastic if you could write something about this story. We could try and support you in getting attention to it. Or
Yes, well, the media in Australia are owned by the same company that makes the helmets.
But we're not in Australia.
I know.
We can spread your story.
Yeah, well, if there's a journalist, independent journalist who's interested, I'll talk to them.
Well, we're all independent journalists today. So, I mean, what really came up for me, man, is you do a face on camera YouTube video just sharing what you just shared, and you get us the link, get the information of the court, and if the government has any electronic email mechanism for receiving incoming, and you just put all of the links, and I'd certainly share that and encourage folks to act and respond and put it out there and see whether you could get some dissemination and just bring the wrath of the viral internet down on that courthouse, to say, set Alex free. These are the times, and this is the world we live in, and the power is in our hands to activate it, and it's that's what it looks like. So
then that add another charge on me then for interfering with the course of justice.
And so what are you actually charged with, Alex?
Failing to wear an approved safety helmet on a bicycle and obstructing the police. I wouldn't leave the police station immediately when the policeman said, "Get out." So he arrested me for obstructing the police.
Arrested you and kept you there when he wanted to get rid of you.
Well, they can't get rid of me on the internet because I've got backup. I mean, they can attack my ISP website, they can attack me router, but I can reset my router and plug in with a different hard drive and I'm back online again. So I'm a bit worried about these forces that own these corporations and factories might decide to, that'll cause a big drop in sales and their investments, so they'll come after me some other way.
I wanted to say that in Germany, as far as I understand, you can make private petitions and then bring it over to where you will have to bring it, to the government or wherever. I would suggest to do a petition, and I will sign it for sure. There are several platforms, or Awards, or Compact, or I don't know what, several of these platforms, and normally they get a lot of sign-ups, and that's anything that's been changed by these, and raising awareness. And it's easier to share than a private video.
Well, I won't need a petition, hopefully, because there's a law in Australia that forbids you doing anything that's likely to cause harm to children. A teacher got fined for not putting a shade out in the playground. The headmaster. So you're not allowed to expose children to ultraviolet exposure outdoors without the proper headwear. And the bike helmet doesn't cut it, so they're in trouble.
Do you think you could get a declaration from your doctor? That could help you?
Yeah, I've got one, but the UV exposure applies to everyone, and you only have to carry a doctor's declaration if you've got something weird happening. It doesn't apply to everyone, something unusual. But common knowledge knows, slip, slop, slap. We got a big campaign in Australia, and the government spent millions of dollars educating people how to behave outside in the sun to avoid melanoma and what have you. And it's common knowledge that it's a danger. The risk is comparable. It's a risk analysis. The chance of dying in a bicycle accident is tiny, insignificant statistically, when you compare it with the chance of getting skin cancer in Australia.
Well, what I mean is, if you've had skin cancer before, then that might give you an extra reason to be exempt from that report.
Yeah. Well, it takes 10 minutes exposure outdoors in the sun to start burning DNA damage, and that's harmful. Accumulated over the years. When you get older, you're dying of cancer. There's a big rise in melanomas lately. Some people think that's due to the ozone depletion. But, a doctor's certificate's necessary if you've got something unusual. You can get an exemption. But this cancer applies to everyone. Skin cancer applies to everyone. You don't need an exemption certificate because it's common knowledge in law. Anyway, in the courtroom, common knowledge is a big thing, a big part of the test.
I guess you want to change the law, Alex, not just get exemption for yourself.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. But a teenage girl who gave up cycling because she hated the helmet, she was bullied because she was getting fatter and fatter, and she was bullied at school. She necked herself, and I thought, well, that's a result of the stupid helmet law. Teenagers increasing this teenage suicide rate through bullying. So if we get rid of the law, that'll put tens of thousands of young teenage girls back on their bicycles, hopefully.
Are there any organizations, Alex, that you know of that are also working on the helmet law?
Yes. Yeah, in Australia, there's hundreds of bicycle groups. They call them CBUG. In Cairns, it's called CBUG, the Cairns Community Bicycle Users Group, BUG, Bicycle Users Group.
Well, you should get them to bug the court for you. Sorry. Just wondering how you can actually get some support for you in the courtroom. And I also underline Heidi's thing around a petition, like some way to word, like, writing a petition is in itself something powerful because you're clarifying exactly what you're asking for. And it's wider than just you. So I wonder if that is something that could, if you could approach the local bicycle, the local group and get some signatures, and then it's another way to raise awareness. I think it's one way to do democracy outside of elections.
And a wonderful reason for me to get out more. I've got a star witness in the case. His name's Blind Freddy.
This is a great story, Alex.
All it needs that a lot of light is shed on this, because this is what people get when the people in power, whether it's just an office or not having any tension. Oh, excuse me, something ringing. I'll be back. I don't know what's happening.
That's what would life be like without a bit of adventure.
I have this feeling that you're being, I don't know if you're still there, Alex, I guess you are. I have this feeling that you're being, there's this power being used over you, and it's really unjust. It makes me angry. And good for you also for standing up to it all. I think this is part of the problem, that so often in life we're confronted with these sometimes like small injustices and we just swallow it instead of standing up against it, even regardless of the inconvenience to us so I have a lot of respect for you for doing this, and I'd support anything if you want to write something or do some campaign, I'd definitely be willing to help somehow.
I did agonise for a while over the fact that if they repealed that law and the next day a child was riding without a helmet and was knocked over and killed, would I feel responsible in some way? But it's when I looked at the research, I noticed that there was an increase, because of the increase in helmet wearing, there was also an increase in injuries of the neck and rotational brain injury caused by the helmets grabbing on impact with the bitumen. So I thought, well, they're probably causing more harm than good. And accidents that happen, most children ride on a footpath anyway, or a bike path. So helmets are good for athletes, I guess, and racing cyclists, mountain bike cyclists and sporting cyclists, but not for general population.
Seems like so many other things we're trying, or the system, whatever is the best phrase to use, is trying to control all of these, or pretending it understands all of these factors and trying to control everything. Where the reality is, if you go out and ride a bike, going off to the shops, you can't control, or even whether you have a helmet on or not, or this is life. We have to take our own decisions and risks.
Well, they tried to explain this law was to save lives, and the amount of people killed in car accidents, passengers, even drivers and passengers in motor vehicles, is a lot higher than the number of cyclists killed on the road. So there's something wrong there, not about saving lives. If it was about saving lives, then all the passengers in cars would have helmets on too.
I think you're spot on, Alex. It's not about being right, but basically it's a power play you got yourself into, and the only thing you got on your side is that basically what you're telling is how do you say this in proper English? Unrefutable. It's the logic is on your side, but then what you risk is that people push that aside and try to ignore you and fine or punish you in any other way. And the only thing we can prevent is to shed a lot of light on the occasion that this is happening in Australia. and this it cannot be denied, and it's on the record and it's out there in the world. And if people know that, that's where where your support should be, I guess. And I see Doug nodding.
So you, Alex, I just need to understand because I am not sure I grasped it fully. So you're talking about the helmets for bicycles, and they are different from the ones for my motorcycles. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not well. Gertraud, you know what people on race bicycles wear for kind of helmets? Those open plastic helmets. We have them here as well, but we don't. We are not forced to wear them. And as I understand, in Australia, there's a law that if you're on a bicycle, you should wear them. But in Australia, there's also an advice: if you go in the sun, you should have a good hat on to protect for the sun. You cannot do both at once.
Yeah, and the open parts they can burn.
Yeah, so
yeah.
The helmet does not protect against a
okay.
larger threat being skin cancer. And everybody knows that. And Alex used his common sense instead of obeying the law, and now he got himself in trouble because he said it out loud. Was basically a stupidity by the system.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to go through a new cycle of skin cancer just to obey the law. Yeah. Okay. I was just confused because I didn't really get the content because the motorcycle, I mean that this is like complete. Yeah. And so that is not the same exposure. Yeah.
If I explained it in a nutshell, it would go like this. You're not allowed to expose children to outdoor environmental harm. You've got to supply them with the proper sun hats. But the Australian government brought in an all-age helmet law that forces children to wear these bicycle helmets. They're not allowed to add attachments to them. So they've done something wrong. They've committed a more serious.
Okay. Yep, I got that. Yep. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Is there any talk about changing the law or some? Because I guess you'll have to have a petition and contact the lawmakers.
Yeah, but they own the factory, Glenn. They've got money invested. They've got money invested in the superannuation and the shareholders investing. They've all got huge family trust investments in the manufacturing and pharmaceuticals.
Pharmaceuticals? I thought you were talking about bike helmets.
Yeah, plastic. Plastic made of oil.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I've never heard about that before, but I mean, it makes sense that if it's really strong sun, then I guess it's difficult to have a hat that shades for the sun as well as a bicycle helmet.
Yeah. It's an anti-state law, and in Australia and New Zealand, it's like when you have the thin end of the wedge. An anti-state law allows the government to have more control over the rights and freedoms of the people. And a wedge is something they put in with a simple little law like a bicycle helmet regulation. It gives them the ability to hammer this wedge in further and take away more of our freedoms in the name of whatever that's on the agenda today. Global free trade and terrorism, anti-terror and immigration, food wars, and the list goes on, and it gets depressing. So I try and focus on one thing at a time.
Maybe this is kind of connected to what Lucy mentioned, because about self-care for global collaborators, that the people who are engaged in this kind of work, you might say, I think have a tendency to really dislike laws in general and restraints in general, and that there's a lot of tension between this, well, I don't know, this mentality or something, and all of these laws which seem quite trivial and controlling.
I don't think there's anything particularly bad about the law per se. It's about the way people use it. You know, it's the way people twist it to their own advantage.
Yeah, like most of the laws, I think, are quite sensible, but there are certain exceptions, like nanny state laws, as you say. Drug laws, of course, is an obvious example of that.
Yeah, I mean, footballers in Australia don't have to wear helmets. It's really crazy. But in the United States, the gridiron players, they wear some head protection because the knocks onto the head can cause brain damage, you know, hemorrhaging. But it's like, we've got to have laws, you know, but we've got to have freedom too. I mean, wherever there's a risk, I heard a wonderful thing said once, a bloke said, wherever there's risks, there should be choice. And there's, you know, limitations have to apply with everything. We drive on the right hand, left.
I'm quite interested in this description, nanny state. Nanny is generally sort of, I mean, it has a class implication as well. You know, working class kids don't have nannies. It's only upper class kids that have nannies because their mothers, for whatever reason, don't look after them.
Well, they want to be a nanny for everybody, including the lower class kids. If they can make the laws and force us to wear the uniform, they'll turn the world into an Orwellian state.
There seems to be a constant battle in society, like what laws to have and what laws to remove and where to draw the line. I don't know what the answer is. But
Actually, I had to listen to and really get what you meant, Alex, and thank you for the clarification, and also Harry. And to dismiss all safety guardrails or laws, I get pretty emotional because I lost a brother because we didn't have that helmet law before for the motorcycles, and they said he could have survived if we had that, if he had worn a helmet, and at that time it was not law. So listening, I get the content, and then I think it's really important to not trade one for the other and have economic reasons for doing certain things that are not sensible, but to throw the baby out with the bathwater, I just I would like to say that I'm happy that we have the helmet law for bicycle, and not bicycle, for, we don't have it for bicycles, we have it for motorcycles. And yeah, so just want to say, so when you went on, Alex, I just felt like, yeah, it's pretty close.
But the motorcycle helmets, they really cover the whole head, right? So they really protect against the sun as well. So it's kind of a different thing, but just interesting little point. Isn't it possible for Australia to just make a different kind of helmet that can also protect against the sun? I mean, that should be a solution.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
So you folks just modeled exactly what the law is about, being a lawyer, which is the distinction on the case. And motorcycles and motorcycle helmets are different than bicycles and bicycle helmets. And innovation and solutions are, why isn't there a bicycle helmet for tropical and subtropical climates that protects against the sun, which is entrepreneurship and business. And you got all the ingredients in soup of the current paradigm.
I looked at some of the designs. I was thinking about a design with a transparent visor that blocked UV, but they don't look very good, and the girls didn't wear them either.
So I think that Alex would probably still want it to be a choice, even if it was a full helmet or with a visor. So that seems to be the crux of it, really, that there should be some choice. I guess you would say over a certain age, it would have to be.
That's right. If they can't force children to wear these helmets because of the law, then how are they going to force adults?
Well, that's a slightly different problem. Yeah.
And there it is.
Is that a bicycle helmet? Yeah. So
It says bicycle helmet.
So the solution is out there. Just have to.
Point is, I don't think the point is about bicycle helmets. I think the point is when do we think it's appropriate to force other people to be good to themselves? We had the same discussion when we had safety belts in a car.
Yeah.
Can I be forced to not kill myself by driving recklessly? And of course, you can say, well, you are not allowed to do harm to others, but am I allowed to, do I own my life to the extent that I can even take it or harm it myself? I think that's the question to me behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some of the research that was carried out gave us some evidence that, you know, some things are worth using. They work. They reduce harm in the community. They lower the cost of the emergency services and the trauma suffered in hospitals by not only the patient but the staff and the families and relations. Well, because they weren't wearing a seatbelt, you know. And so there's some evidence that some things work and they're worthwhile pursuing. Whether or not you've got a right to use it or a right to take the risk of not using it has to be determined by the state in some cases. When the evidence is clear that using it's going to make significant impact on the trauma.
I just went and looked at bicycle laws by country on Wikipedia. And yeah, my province and your country, and somewhere in South Africa and somewhere on the eastern seaboard looks like New Brunswick and Nova Scotia have the mandatory fines will apply bicycle laws. So I live in the same state rule as you do, Alex. And yeah, it's interesting. Most of the world doesn't have bicycle laws or bicycle helmet laws that are mandatory and fined. So that might be something to bring up. Are you representing yourself, Alex?
Yes.
I'm happy to do a little video with you if you want after this session, if that's helpful, even if it's just to get your clarity of thought.
Yeah.
And you can choose to share it or not. So I'll send it to you, and it's up to you to upload, and then we can all share it from you.
Yeah.
Tammy, do you wear a helmet when you go cycling?
Mostly. Yep.
I religiously wear a helmet motorcycling. But it's a different class of category of risk. I have to go because I've got to prepare for next round, but hopefully I'll see some of you there. And I love this session and where it went. And Alex, I would love if you take Tammy up on her offer and you guys create it. I would love nothing better than to circulate that, beat the drum, reach out and pound on people to do the same, and endeavor to spread the word and see what could be motivated. So
I won't come, Doc, because I have my own session. A year ago, Mark went down a hill nearby the graveyard where he is now, and he was in 60 kilometers. And then around the curve, he fell down. And if he hadn't had the helmet, would have been a problem. So I don't see anybody anymore. What has happened now?
We're here.
We're here. We see you, Heidi. Has it blacked out?
On my screen, you were all black. So I thought something had happened. Anyway, I try to wear helmets only if I've forgotten it and I'm already far away. When I remember, then I don't turn back. But when I'm nearby the house, I turn back because I think it is a protection, not for the sun, but for falling down. And in the case of Mark, it has helped because otherwise he might have had an injury on the head. So he had some little scratches, and that was all. So I'm totally for helmets also on the bicycle for safety reasons, because the cars, you know, when they bring you out of the lane and you can fall by yourself or have a nice encounter with the cars. I have to go now to you, and I will sooner or later come again tomorrow. Yeah. I think, but not weekend.
Tomorrow, yeah. Okay, 3 hours later. 3 hours. Thank you.
Nice to see Heidi.
Bye.
Okay, I'll be going off as well, and there's a lot to say, but my brain doesn't compute anymore that much at this point. But I would love to join the Enlivening Edge, so I look forward to see you all. I won't be present tomorrow because I go to a wedding party, so I will be having fun while you are doing serious stuff.
Hard work.
Hard work. And I hope to see you all soon at the next occasion, because I enjoy this company very, very much. So thank you, all lovely humans, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I will not be here the next 3 sessions, so come back next Thursday.
Okay. We'll miss you.
So I wonder for
celebrating birthday and visiting my daughter.
I just also wanted to touch base on tomorrow's session if there was a burning topic that people wanted to focus on. I'm conscious of so many people not being here for the deeper relationships idea that I had. So, Josh.
I just want to say while we were talking on Sutra, there's a gentleman, let me see if I can put up his name. I don't know if he's a friend of yours, Glenn. My screen is broken.
Yeah,
SK.
right. Yeah, no, it's not a friend of mine, but I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I invited him to join the Zoom call, but he said he doesn't want to install Zoom on his computer, but he wants to continue a discussion. And so he also logged into the website, but we were discussing, should we have discussions? If someone doesn't want to join the Zoom call, where can they have the official GCC discussion? So I was saying we can use the sutra to dive deeper into threads and conversation, but general discussions, I was hoping more topics. I've got a few, the Alex's topic and Lucy's topic about burnout, but I was hoping maybe tomorrow, Tammy, you could, with the group, make a list of topics so that, you know, people that can't make it to the Zoom call, we can still discuss, and to open things up a little more to more people.
So the open topic?
A topic of listing off topics. I know it sounds ridiculous discussing how to discuss, but
topics
yeah.
The biotic topic.
But can't people come in with by phone? I mean, Zoom has a phone access.
Yes.
I invited him to come in and say, don't put on your video, don't put on your voice, but just chat in the live chat if you're trying to get everyone's attention. And he said, what is the official communications channel for that? And I said, right now it's Zoom. So he didn't want to log into Zoom for some reason.
No, I mean, you don't have to log into Zoom to get the, you can just go by
telephone, yeah.
By telephone, you just dial in and that's all. You don't have to download anything.
I don't know.
What I know is he's been active on Sutra, and he's also listened to many of the videos, so, and he's commented on them. So I think he's listened to very many of the videos. So he's kind of participating that way. But
sorry. I was just going to say the same thing. I've really noticed how, like, he's read a whole load of things people have written, and he's written some really insightful things, and it feels like somebody, like, we're missing out on something if we can't find a way to bring him in.
Couldn't we put in the telephone numbers to next to the link, so they just dial in if they want to?
Yeah, we can do that.
And to have this written place, I think Joshua just fell off, but it feels like a good idea when a theme comes up here that particularly interests us to be able to carry on talking about it somewhere. It'd be really fun.
Definitely.
So I just would like to ask, have we kind of landed now on using the website as the main place for continuing the written conversations? I haven't been in that forum yet, but if it's a good forum and you can have threads, then I think that's perfect. And we can use the GCC website as the main place for the written conversation. Of course, Facebook is good too, but it's kind of different. I think more the sort of deeper written conversations where we can follow the threads over a long period of time. And also, what I would really like to do, which is to build on each other's work.
Yeah.
And that's something we can do on the website, which is not very appropriate on Facebook, even though I think Facebook is very important. But these deep written conversations as a continuation will really enhance the experience, I think. So, yeah.
One of the things that Doug and I talked about yesterday is really wanting to get a sense of, we were talking about the videos and how to organize those, but this is a similar topic, and it is kind of meta, like how do we want all of these things to interlink, and the information flows and the signaling flows. So I feel like it would be really useful to have a conversation where we were doing that. That's more of a working session, though, like a kind of live collaboration working session.
Well, why not don't we develop a policy that during these sessions we flag a discussion or a topic that comes up for further investigation or for a working session later for those that are interested in exploring it? Because I've heard some things come up quite often and they seem to gain momentum of their own. And if they don't get followed up, they tend to be forgotten about.
I have to go now, and somehow I need to come into that website thing, but I just didn't have the time before.
Next week. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye
Bye. Have a wonderful time. See you next week.
Okay.
Good to
Thanks,
see you,
Gertraud. Have
Gertraud.
fun. Have fun.
Have
Thank
fun.
you.
I also
I'm
want
saying
to
goodbye.
get.
Okay.
Oh, Josh, can you somehow connect me to the website, and because I haven't
Well,
made any connection yet.
if you could just go to the website and connect yourself under register, then
Where is you have
that
the address
activates it.
website?
Yeah, it's globalchallengescollaboration.org. Let me put it up.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
It's a nice website. I think it looks good. Simple to use and intuitive, and looks very good.
Yeah, thank you, Josh, for all your hard work on that, and Glenn and Lucy.
Well, no, that's
Bye.
everybody. Yeah, we're all doing it together. This is a group effort.
Bye, Anna.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, Anna.
Whee.
Yeah, and I'll figure out for the group a way to signal as far as action group time. Glenn said he couldn't days. That's why we didn't do it. We were gonna do today, but Glenn can't meet on Tuesdays. So maybe
Tuesdays and Wednesdays are difficult unless
a regular schedule for action groups.
Yeah. It might be possible.
Let me know what works for you. Let me know.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, I learned only 3 people. Yeah, 3 people in an action group at a time is good. So any 3 that wants to pair up as a 3 and then create responsibility for the other 2 to hold the first one. Like if someone says, I want to create a topic about this, then they can be assigned to the 2 other people to hold them accountable to use Sam's method and practice that. See if it works.
Alex's method too.
And Alex's method. Awesome. Whatever works. I'm open for whatever. But if you want to meet on a regular basis, Glenn, just me and you, and if anyone else wants to join, I'm open to whatever time works for you.
Well, just to throw it out, how about Mondays? Is that a possibility? Because that's wide open for me. Alternatively, Wednesday later.
Sure.
But Monday is perfect, if anytime really.
Okay. Let's try to, I'll look at your time and let's make a Monday. That sounds great.
Yeah. How is that for Lucy? Is Mondays okay for you? Or?
I'm going to pop over to the Alive and Edge. I'm sorry, my thing keeps popping out, so I'm saying goodbye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye, Josh.
Monday. Yeah, it depends a bit on time. And I think for me, is like I might not be there at every session. I might just pop in and out. So I would say set it up for when works for you, and I'll try and be there as often as I can. And I'll also be happy to be assigned homework and do it in between. That's also fine.
Yeah, I think we can do most of this or a lot of it, even without having, you know, all that much meetings. But
Yeah.
it's good every now and then to have an action meeting.
Definitely. I would like to design the website a bit more. I don't know, make it look pretty. It looks pretty already, but prettier.
Yeah.
But I just have to learn how to use WordPress. I can do Squarespace, but WordPress is. So we'll see. We'll see.
Have a look.
Well, it's not WordPress. I showed Glenn on that last video, but there's a JavaScript element on top of it that's better and easier than Squarespace. So we'll get you
Okay.
designing it.
So Java makes me go, oh my God. That sounds like programming or something.
I've noticed
It's easy.
You can go. You don't have to hang on.
It's the.
I saw some.
No, I was just trying to hear. Go ahead, Alex. I'll let you. I'm going to go to the Alive and Edge. I was just saying JavaScript makes it easy. You don't see it. It's just drag and drop like Squarespace. Drag and drop, drag and drop.
Great. Thank you,
Thanks,
Josh.
Josh.
And then they were 4.
Yeah.
I saw templates available for people to build their websites on that were designed to work across all the platforms, like the IO device and the laptop and the gadgets and the desktop PCs and phones, smartphones. So that's the kind of it's a thing you need to have, something that works everywhere.
Yeah. Do you use WordPress, Alex?
I did. I used to until things changed. WordPress was difficult for me to learn. I wasn't used to the amount of unknown commands and key combinations that are available. So it was difficult to use, and I found an easier one. I started using templates and modifying the templates to suit me. As I got better at doing that, I started to improve my skills at modifying templates.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we thinking about for tomorrow? Should we like come up with a little plan or something?
Yeah, well, the original idea about relationships, there's so many of the regular people who aren't going to be there, so I feel like it makes sense to switch to something else. And I like the idea of topics, but yeah, how to frame that? What, harvesting topics for discussion.
Yeah, that's a good one. Topic harvesting. Because I think that for us that have been in many of these conversations, it's right that some topics come up again and again. So I think we're pretty well positioned to figure out certain topics that are very relevant, that have come up several times. So that might be a very interesting thing, and maybe. Yeah, with that in mind, that we can follow it up on the website, because it feels really good to know that there's a discussion forum there, because that makes everything a lot simpler. And then we actually have just one place which we can collect the material, which is what we haven't had until now. So that feels like progress.
We could maybe frame them as questions. Because that might give some coherence to the overall thing, especially posting it and inviting people. You can think about it a bit in advance, because the first thing is always, okay, well, what does that question mean to you? And then gives some more open possibility. But I think it's such a great idea, because there's always, in the conversations, there's all these threads going on, and we go in different directions, but there's always something that, you feel you get really excited about a topic, and then we drift somewhere else, and there's another exciting one. But to be able to pick up some of those things, and like the whole consciousness thing, how how do we experience being, well, I tried to start this on Sutra, but it didn't, went a bit flat. Like, what's your experience of being alive? Right now I found that so interesting. What's going on in our connection between each other? What goes on in our work? What goes on in our expanding understanding of what we are, who we are? But I like those rabbit hole questions. Maybe other people don't.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Practical ones, like Tammy, maybe a question's come up for us in what's happened in the last week or so. Do we have some, okay, how do we deal with this issue in collaboration, or what are others' experiences? Maybe we could think of something.
I find it's pretty easy for me to focus on the things that have meaning in my life. I mean, you know, it's not difficult for me to find a topic that has meaning, something I'm passionate about.
Mm.
And a lot of my friends that are artists throughout my life, I've known people that have been terrific artists and musicians that they've had wonderful lives because they've just lived passionately, you know, their belief system. You stick to what you passionately understand as having meaning. You know, the things like empathy, responsibility is a big one.
If you have a question in that, Alex, could you turn that into a question that we could perhaps think of, like people's value? What are the values that people navigate by in their life?
How can I be responsible? That's a question. How can I be responsible? Ultimate responsibility is when I focus on the things in my life that have meaning for me. Mm. This is personal responsibility. So that's got to be joined with my understanding of other people's values, because I expect other people to treat me the way I expect them to treat me, and that's according to my set of values and principles. Mm. And the simplicity is the supreme excellence. Treat others as you'd expect others to treat you. I guess that's where it is, but it's a difficult thing to live by.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet other people will say, Alex, you didn't call me. You were going to call me at 6 o'clock, and I waited till 8:30. You know.
So I put together a little rough para for an invitation there, which I just wanted to include part of what everyone was saying, so I would have a placeholder to start with.
I think that's really good, because that means someone from the outside, or someone who's less involved, could actually pose a question, and we all discuss their question.
Yes.
That feels like it, you know, and that's, I think lots of people are, oh, why don't you this, or why don't you that? This feels like a really good way of creating space for that.
Yeah.
Oh, are we saying that?
Question, we'll figure it out.
So this is a Facebook post, and people can write questions in the comments, and we can include that, right?
Yeah, we can include that, and kind of, I think I want to also put in here that we're encouraging people, well, until that topic space is built, well, I can say that we want to have an online topic space. We're creating an online topic space, and that these questions will help to seed that.
Well, Harry can draw this graphic picture of a field, a big field out in the forest. We're clearing in the forest, and there's lots of rabbit holes there, and each one's got a sign above it with a topic.
That's a great idea. That's a
Love
really
it.
great. We could also have something like 5 questions are posted every week, and people vote on which question they want us to discuss. Something like that could be fun. So then we can take in lots and lots of questions, and we just stick them up in batches, and we go through them that way.
Awesome.
That would be fun to vote on stuff.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Quora?
Yeah, Quora. Heard about Quora.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have questions and answers.
Yeah.
And
Get some sort of-
also this workflowy document that Sam was working on could inform this. That's a load of themes. I mean, it's so many themes. It's unbelievable that we touched upon. So, but I guess with these questions, you maybe want to try to find something really foundational that is a burning question. Right? So I really liked also, by the way, self-care for global collaborators. That's a good theme.
I think it's important. I think there are people who are actually really struggling a bit with that.
Oh yeah, I think so. And I think there's unique challenges that people who do this kind of work have, which actually have a lot to do with what we touched upon briefly today. I think the system and how we relate to rules and established ways and the sort of psychological things there, because I think it's loads of stuff there that we've really not gone deeply into, and kind of an unblocking topic too, I guess.
Yes.
That because I think there's a lot of blocks there actually.
Yeah, there are probably some things that are a bit taboo. You can say that in our community, maybe. I'm not sure what they are, but I'm guessing there are, because like, what things do we all avoid because of the nature of how we work? And I don't know. I think there's lots of stuff in there.
I think that everything to do with business, capitalism, money is very taboo in these communities.
Yeah,
totally.
The whole culture around it, and some of those values, and maybe some of the good values too, and that's maybe why we can suffer more than we need, because we sort of feel like we want to reject all of that. That's a big topic, but it's a good one. So,
I was talking to one of my roommates yesterday, and he's 22, but he's like 22 going on 50. He's amazing, but he was talking about that he finds it really uncomfortable to talk about money, and the invoice that I used to send to Lucy was one that I had shared with him in the past, and I just amended it. So he got a notification about it and then saw the invoice. And, so when I shared it with him, there was just this feeling of there should be secrecy around that, and or something. There was something, and he was talking just about how uncomfortable it is for him to talk about money.
Yeah.
If you ask people on the street, what is the root of all evil? About 9 out of 10 will say money. And it's wrong. It's not true. The root of all evil is love of money, apparently.
Yeah, our relationship to it is the significance that we assign to it. That's the problem, isn't it? Not.
It's a tool.
Yeah, or maybe even attachment to abstractions in general, which is sort of the thing underneath it.
Yeah, good point.
Very deep question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've found many good topics for it.
I keep seeing a comment on some of the chat sessions, and it says the person who said money can't buy happiness has been shopping at the wrong store.
I was agreeing with that partly, but like, if you have money, there's so many great things you could do. So much fun you can have.
Yeah.
You can have fun anyway, but it certainly would help.
Yeah. Well, if you use the money that's made available to you to relieve the suffering of the world, the benefits will come back to you tenfold.
Just imagine what you could do with, like if I was, I don't know who.
Elon.
Millionaire. Yeah, exactly. Like, Jesus, I'd just be out there doing sorting all this stuff out, and Oh, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me wonder why people with so much money don't do more. Like all of these celebrities who get a pat on the back because they did one charitable good thing. It's like, it's amazing how we kind of put them up on a pedestal when it's very easy to do it when you're in that position.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting that someone like Bill Gates, who has, spent enormous amounts of money on things that apparently seem to be clearly very good things, in certain of these communities, he's almost the devil,
Yeah, he's messed up all that stuff.
And it's very interesting that I don't think there's anything he could do with his money which would make him a hero in these alternative communities who are really anti everything to do with capitalism. And I think it's a very big shadow thing here that's very interesting to look into, actually. And it's a big topic, but I don't think we'll solve it today. But good to have in the pipeline, that's for sure.
Do you know what I'm going to do? And I'm going to say it publicly and then it happens. If I ever win the lottery, which is unlikely because I never buy lottery tickets, but there might be some rich uncle that I never knew about who died, I'm going to get us all together, get everyone transported somewhere that we're all going to physically meet up. And everyone's going to have like 3 weeks holiday and we're going to have fun and we're going to do cool stuff and work, a bit of work if we want to.
Let's go to Heidi's. Let's go to Heidi's place. She can fit 20.
There might be more.
There might be more, but we could camp.
Don't we want a beach? Water?
Yeah. I don't all of it. Around. Yes.
Private island.
That would be so awesome to have a big retreat for all of us.
Well, some people have already begun meeting, so maybe we'll get there someday.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yes.
Tammy, I would rather write out a list, the bullet list of the items I want to bring up in this court case, and talk to you about that at some other time. I've got a couple of weeks. It's on the 19th of September.
Do you want to make a time that works for you, or do you want to just ping me?
I'll ping you in a couple of days.
That'd be great. Yeah, maybe Saturday.
Yeah. Some of the things I want to refer to when I discuss it with you, I will need to have the document details so I can say, well, there's one. I'll hold it in front of the screen and say there's a website or a document with a peer-reviewed literature is available.
Yes, and that's going to be really helpful for you in preparation anyway for the court case, I think. So good.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, yeah. What's a good time of day that works for you? I know you're in the future, but
it's early in the morning for you, I think, because a good time for me is late at night, 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Which is like earlier.
Okay, so just ping me and I'll make the time. Okay.
All right, everyone, I think I need to go. I've got to go and pack and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm
how exciting.
So
yeah. I need to go for a run or get rid of some energy first.
Yes.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you for this conversation.
Yes.
Good meeting you. So I'll see some of you tomorrow.
Okay.
And Alex, I just want to say that I really I appreciate doesn't feel like the right word, but I think what you're doing is really great. The bike helmet thing, and just you generally, you have this real you do stick to what you believe regardless of the consequences. So,
yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah, when I found out who owned the helmet factory, I was pretty annoyed.
Yeah, I bet you were. Let them have it by the sounds of it. Lots of love to all of you.
Okay. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. I'll close the meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.